What's going on, YouTube? Critical Beard here. Today we're going to be reacting to Bengal play Madden 27 franchise mode. I just saw this video about maybe 30 minutes ago. I didn't watch the entirety. I just watched about 10 minutes just to get an idea of what exactly he was going to be kind of showing us. And I figured, this is a great opportunity to react to it live. So y'all going to be, kind of getting my live reactions and thoughts as we go, similar to my last video. So without further ado, let's do it.
Let's talk about everything new coming to Madden 27 franchise mode, or actually even better yet, let me just show you. That's what everyone wants to see anyway. It is a work in progress version of the game, so things are potentially subject to change, but for our purposes, we really care about these features. So let's talk about the Persona engine that features.
So I just want to pause it a few times throughout this video just to be able to get a look at some of the things he's showing us. I'm very much looking forward to this Persona DNA thing that EA has for us this year.
Players potentially demanding trades when things aren't going well, interactive contract negotiations, free agency frenzy in a live event, undrafted rookie free agency, news that feels like news with breaking news, rumors, and buzz.
Let's see what's going on here. Looks like we have a bunch of free agents here on the left side and the corresponding information that pertains to them. I love the little breaking news pop-ups that we're going to be seeing this year too.
Popping up on the screen in real time, a draft ticker scrolling through in real time, CPU making trades in the draft up or down, interactive contract negotiations, where you can add void years, guaranteed contracts, contract incentives, no trade clauses.
Yeah, like, bro, creating these contracts or just signing your players is just going to be so fun. Like, and fun from the fun for the managerial types. Like, I'm a very managerial type of player for this game. I'm a head coach kind of guy where I'll be in coach mode that they revamped for this year. So everything I'm doing is all about management, and that's the details that we've been missing to make it more immersive, more fun, more meaningful. So
Longer street free agent deals, custom contract structures, coach mode, a rebalanced super sim, dynamic weather, and more. And it actually starts in the settings. There are a lot of things you can change, but we'll talk more about free agency frenzy in a bit. You can change the number of hours that this lasts, and basically it's just the number of times you have to simulate. They want free agency to be an hour by hour type of thing with big names flying off the board similarly to the way that they do in real life. And it's basically how it was where you're advancing to the next stage, and previously there were 3 stages. Now it's hour by hour, so you're able to change how many hours you would like that to be. And coach mode. Coach mode is going to be big for people like me that maybe aren't the best at the game, don't try to be, but are more so, obsessed with the managerial aspects. So
yep,
you can
me.
turn on coach mode and you don't need to do anything once coach mode is on. Now, you can also turn on auto quarterback, which as you can see in the top right, if coach mode is enabled, the quarterback will automatically throw the ball if you don't take control after the snap. So you can do pre-play adjustments and things like that, and you can totally turn everything off if you so choose. Auto snap, run coach suggestions. You can just watch the team that you've created, which is not going to appeal to everybody, but for a player like me, in my rebuilds, this is actually a really nice quality of life change. And of course, if you didn't play last year, there's still things like draft class strength, editing, dev trait management, things like that. But breaking news could be a cool one. If you guys are not familiar, if you didn't see my short already, this is probably the first exposure for a lot of you. Breaking news will actually pop up on the screen now. And preseason has a lot going on. There are potentially blockbuster trades that will occur within the actual franchise during the preseason. So one of my big complaints over the past several years with Madden is how franchise just felt dead.
Wow, this new home screen looks really good for franchise mode. I mean, I won't say it looks really good. It's different. I'm sure like this screen looks a little plain, honestly, but um taking everything in, we'll see how it looks for every team. I'm sure there's a little difference between each team's home screen.
It's just you're playing the games of your team. You don't really care about any other players or teams around the league because they don't give you a reason to. They didn't show you anything. But now they've added more tabs, as you can see with the news center at the bottom of the screen. They want to make it feel more like the actual NFL, the craziness that goes on. And if you're on Twitter or anything else, you're seeing constant updates from every team around the league. They want to replicate that. So they've added a news center at the bottom. You can click left stick to jump into it. I don't know how many players are going to be doing this because it feels like the more menus that you have, the more steps it is, the more people that are not going to choose to do that. That's why I like that it actually is visible to you on the screen. The weekly hub is totally different now with these kind of different panels that pop up with different news stories and different things. It's just more aesthetically pleasing to look at it this way. You can see the matchups around the league in the bottom right as well, some of the bigger games that are happening, but of course it's only preseason right now. Managed roster, you'll notice in the top right, very different, or on the right side of your screen. Mindset and focus is going to be a big thing right now. So you can see the focus of each player on your team and their mindset as a result of that focus. And when you pop into each individual player here, like we're going to do with cover star Caleb Williams, you can actually see their persona DNA. It's a new feature coming to Madden 27 to make each player feel more like a person and not just a player with ratings on your screen and that's it. So they've got a number of different factors, some obviously more than others, that will affect how they react, what their morale does, what their motivations are. And Caleb Williams is somebody that has a ton of them. So we'll go over a couple here. You can see he has composed, which is stays calm and avoids rash decisions. A lot of these matter for contract negotiations. Calculated, thinks through risks before making decisions. Confident, believes in his value and won't settle. These are all very valuable or important for the contract negotiations. If you can understand your players, you're going to understand how you want to approach them within the actual negotiation, and that may change how you approach it. Because for a guy like Caleb Williams that believes in his value and won't settle, I'm probably going to be less focused on just holding pat and staying with my offer. I might have to bump it up if we want Caleb Williams to remain a Bear. Superstar abilities now have
See, that's some of the things, the small details that make a huge difference. Because now you can't just like have the same approach with all your players now. You have to treat your star quarterback like a star quarterback. You have to treat your star receiver as such, even if he has some maybe ridiculous expectations or whatever. You can find a way, a more creative way to solve contract disputes or issues because now you have so many tools at your disposal. You got the franchise tags, you have even if somebody did want to like test free agency, you can do a restricted they make them a restricted free agent so that other teams can bid on them, but you have an option to match their bid and keep them with you or let the other team go ahead and outbid you and take them. Just bro, it's just I'm so looking forward to all the different just contract navigation routes we have now.
different tiers to them. Previously in Madden, it was just, okay, they either have it or they don't.
Okay, so yeah, right now he's talking about the superstar abilities. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that there's like levels to to each ability. I'm just not sure exactly what does that do to X factors? You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it does give it a little bit more nuance. If you have the X factors, those are the guys who are like transcendent, but then you have the superstar abilities where, you may have somebody who has some a few golds or a few silvers. I guess that does like give a little bit of a specialty to every player. You know what I'm saying? So that I can see how that could work. It reminds me a little bit more of 2K's approach.
Now, players can still have it or don't, but when they do have that ability, whatever it happens to be, there are different tiers within that actual ability.
Right.
So persistent, of course, Caleb Williams has gold. You can see at each overall point when the next thing unlocks. And because I know people will freak out again, this is a work in progress version of the game. I'd be very surprised if Colston Loveland was a 73 overall when the game comes out. He's not going to be. So don't worry about these ratings right now. They're not important. As you can see, not every player has the amount of persona DNA that Caleb Williams happens to have. There are 65 different types, or over 65 different types of DNA with the persona engine, and players can actually evolve over time and earn temporary persona DNA. So
That's something I love, is that it'll always keep you, I won't say guessing, but you'll have to be fluid. You'll have to treat players accordingly, and you have to pay attention to their mindset and their focus and whatever is important to them at that time and stage of their career.
I may not actually be able to show this because it's not going to happen every year to every player, but with the Persona DNA, players can now finally hold out. If a star feels underpaid, undervalued, or unhappy with their current situation, they can refuse to participate. And this is what we've seen in real life, right? So it's not a random event that just is a notification. You can ignore it, whatever. This is apparently an active situation that requires real management. You need to negotiate, you can have a conversation, and you can try to shift their mindset. Or you can wait to see if they come around. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. How you handle that situation matters, and how you handle that situation, as we mentioned previously, is probably based off of the persona DNA. You can see how this player, guess how they might react, and you can react accordingly. And if you can't come to an agreement, things can actually deteriorate beyond just holding out. Players can demand trades. And when that player wants out, it hits the news tab. Other teams start calling. That player gets added to the trade block.
Oh, that's fire. So a player can forcefully demand a trade. The rest of the league knows about it, and now they're automatically put onto the trade block, and you start receiving calls about it. That's making the league feel alive now. I love that. I love that. And that also lets everybody else know that, well, I'm sorry, it also lets us as the players know what other teams players want out. So we could, have some sort of a inkling that we should maybe make an offer on them. That's dope.
And again, you need to decide how to handle that situation. It's not just with your own team. It's around the league, with every team, with every player potentially. It's an option. They've also slightly changed how you delegate this year. Now there's an actual official person handling it. GM Jake Udich will handle that. That's not actually the GM of the Bears, right? Ryan Poles. But you've got assigned GMs that can handle different things and make these decisions for you. And a lot of the times, especially if there's an injury, which I'm sure we're going to deal with, they'll tell you exactly what they're going to do. Place them on IR, do whatever. So, breaking news. This is a type of...
Not gonna lie, I don't see myself doing a whole lot of delegating, if any at all, because again, that's the whole point. I want to manage every small nook and cranny of this game, of my team. Tennessee Titans, of course.
The thing that happens, there's a noise, it pops up. Major trade announced, Rasheed Walker actually being sent to the Saints in a shocking move. So an interdivisional trade here. I'm not going to say they all make sense necessarily. Frankie Louvu is now a Patriot. So the breaking news pops up. It feels a little bit more real now. It actually lets you track it. It just, you don't randomly have to go to a news tab and hope you see something interesting. It will tell you, and I think that will make it a lot easier to actually know what's going on around the league. Because it's not just, oh, Rasheed Walker's on the Saints now. What happened there? You actually see that a trade happened. Well, now I'm seeing why Rasheed Walker was traded to the Saints. Taliesa Fuaga wants a new role, and the Saints front office apparently has agreed and is looking for a better fit. So Fuaga out, Rasheed Walker in, obviously Longhorn legend Kelvin Banks. So a lot's going on already. You can also see when players are added to the trade block. Again, this is all breaking.
So that's cool. So one player that like wanting a new role can influence a team or I guess a team's management to decide to trade a player so that that other player feels comfortable, I guess, or whatever the case may be. But that's an interesting scenario that we just saw. It's pretty cool.
News that pops up. So it's easier to track everything and easier to be invested in everything. L'Jarius Sneed on the trade block, that feels fairly realistic. You're also going to get prospect updates in the game day tab now, making that easier to be interested in. TJ Walker got injured. Knee cartilage tear, expected to miss at least 6 weeks. You can make a decision on this if you want to, or you can delegate it for your staff.
Okay, so here you can. Okay, I mean this is not much different. It's just right here in your face. It's an easy decision what your options are. Because before you had to um, well, for me, when I'll be playing a season, I would just get notified that someone's injured after the game, right? And then um, you decide whether you want to keep them on the injured reserve or just leave them be. It wasn't a decision necessarily like this, at least not straight up in your face. So that makes it a lot simpler.
We're going to place him on IR. Weekly recap.
2026 season
As it was, Scott Hansen comes on the mic,
I'm Scott Hansen, and this
walks
is
you
your
through
EA
the highlights
Sports
from the week
weekly
previous.
recap for
This was something I
NRG.
I will
loved
say the
from last
highlights
year.
seem to be a little bit better
And
this
is
time
CJ
around.
Stroud,
They were the
connecting
most
with
insane
Dalton
thing
Schultz.
you'd ever seen,
A 17-yard
and now they
touchdown
look a little bit
pass.
better, I would say, and the commentary is
The
pretty good too.
Texans wind up winning. Tell you about
Ooh,
from
and the
opening
injury
slate of
report
games.
now
Nice.
pops up in the
The big
highlights.
news
Pulled
comes out
groin
of
for Jahmyr
Motown.
Gibbs, 5
Jahmyr
weeks.
Gibbs.
This is awesome, man.
That's a tough one, but it's
New
nice
for
to be able to.
2026, time to name our first ever regular season Player of the Week. And this is the former Ohio State star back in the Buckeye State, Emeka Ibuka.
Ooh, okay.
He's going to run the deep route here.
Some
and
fun
put
commentary.
it in.
Yeah.
42 yards for the touchdown. The Bucks had to work for it, but they win it by a field goal.
Ball.
It just feels a little bit more real now. I think you
Alive.
guys are probably seeing what I'm talking about.
For sure.
No longer need to jump into a specific players of the week, sub
Next up,
menu
time
hidden,
for a look at the NFL leaders in passing yards.
updates on the
here in
leaders
early
around the
going.
league. 380
Leader at the moment,
in week 1. Okay.
Baker Mayfield
Then you
of
got
the
Anthony
Buccaneers.
Richardson. Throw
Scouting
331.
is as it
Interesting.
was. Everything here still functions the same. You set your focus scouting the way you would previously as well, and you choose your scouts as well, right? Like you've
This is one phase of the game that I really need to see a monumental change. And within, next year I would hope they do a big focus on the draft, because the way they're making the rest of the NFL feel alive, I need them to make the draft process feel just as alive. And I feel like that's something that they might surprise us with, based on the astounding amount of gameplay and I won't say innovations, but certainly those wish list items we've been begging for years, man. So I'm hoping that next year they'll be able to take care of the draft for us.
got the option to delegate, but clearly it's not going to be as good as if you did it yourself. So I'd still recommend definitely doing it yourself. You don't want to have regions where the expertise doesn't match up unless there are, prospects that you really want to scout specifically. I'd recommend, matching it up, because there is an efficiency boost between 5, 10, and 15% nationally. So I'd recommend doing that yourself, no question. All right, so we talked about Caleb Williams at
Hold
this.
on.
I'd recommend doing that yourself, no question.
Monday night prime time. I'm just looking at I guess the way they have it displayed on here. That looks pretty nice.
All right, so we talked about Caleb Williams at the start. He didn't really particularly play well last week. We dropped to 1-3, so you can delegate with the GM and have the offensive coordinator handle this one. He'll run the training with Caleb, or you can jump in. Let's go ahead and speak with him and
Oh, snap. Let's see what the conversations look like. So it shows his focus, his personal accolades right now. Mindset is determined to play better. Okay. Had a bad game and I'm owning it. I'm not letting it turn into a run. What? Well, I'm not letting it turn into a run. What do I need to do out there to prove it stops here? Oh, okay. Not letting the bad games turn into a run. Gotcha. You don't prove it in one Sunday. You prove it over a stretch. Give me 3 straight games at your standard, and that one disappears. Stretch of great games, great next game, solid stretch of games, solid next game. This is solid, yo. I like this.
Show what this is all about. So, Caleb says, I had a bad game and I'm owning it. I'm not letting it turn into a run. What do I need to do out there to prove it stops here? So, of course, Ben Johnson says, you don't prove it on one Sunday, you prove it over a stretch. Give me 3 straight games at your standard, and that one disappears. So, you can choose the options about how you respond to this. So, you can say, hey, stretch of great games. Perform at a high level for 3 games straight. Or you can change it, potentially, to just play great next game. Have a solid stretch of games where you perform at an average level for 3 straight games. Doesn't have to be a stretch of great games. Could just be solid, performing to a new average. Or just have a solid next game. These 4 options, obviously, you have great stretch or great next game, and then solid stretch or solid next game, which will, you'll see, affect based on which goal you choose. And, of course, your coach response will change based on what you do. So we're going to set it to be a fairly low bar. Start with 1 clean game, do your job, no unnecessary risks. Yeah, that sounds about right. And that's your reset. And then Caleb, of course, will respond. Well, what's the benchmark that proves that 1 game was just exactly that, a one-off? So got 1 option here. Need a solid next game where you throw for over 200 yards and at least 2 passing touchdowns. That's not bad nowadays. 2 touchdowns is a pretty good amount. Keep the completion percentage above 60% and interceptions at a maximum of 1. So would the coach actually respond exactly like this? No, but it gives you defined goals about what you need to accomplish with Caleb Williams in the next one. So 200 yards, 60% completion percentage, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception or fewer. You can see the conversation results here, and that's based on the mindset and persona DNA. You can see his focus is now personal accolades, and the mindset is that he's determined to play better. And you can see which persona DNA was affected by that conversation. And then following that, we can have a follow-up with Caleb Williams. And as he said, didn't play particularly well. I can feel it slipping into a pattern, and that's not something I'm going to accept. So Ben Johnson, of course, right now you're pressing, and it's compounding. Slow it down, trust your reads, and let the game come back to you. So trying to build Caleb Williams back up. He unfortunately failed to bounce back. So unfortunately, his player update, as he continues to underperform, he's lost 5 morale. If you've played Madden over the past several years, you know that a loss or a gain in morale will affect their overall. So Caleb, unfortunately, is losing morale points, which is affecting his current.
I'm gonna just say this real fast. So I don't really like the skill based or the what is it like? He just showed
Rating, a morale point for overall. So Caleb, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, I'm right. So the skill point based like improvement scale for the players. You know, I really I wish it was performance based. So if you have a bad game, you know, maybe not one bad game is gonna make you lose a few overall points, but I think a stretch of those should decrease your overall. I mean, your overall, or at least your traits, like your strong arm or speed, or you know, whatever, awareness. And if it becomes something that doesn't improve throughout the season, then at the end of the season you've had a regression year, like you've regressed. If you've regressed 2 years in a row, you know, first off, the first regression should equal a certain level of loss to your overall. And then if you have 2 years of that in a row, it should have a certain, you know, again, a certain span of regression that you're going to see in your overall again, and your traits and your abilities and your progression rate and so on and so forth. So uh so I'm somebody who uses mods, right? I'm definitely heavy into the mod scene for Madden, and that's one thing I'm really looking forward to. I feel as though the franchise tool with Madden 27 is going to be out of this world. I feel like it's going to make the level of immersion like totally next level because they have performance based progression. But I don't want to get too much into the mod scene. I just wanted to mention that because I think that's going to really take it to a whole nother dimension. That's the one thing as well that Madden needs to get right. They got to figure out a way to more accurately quantify progression and regression into the overalls of these players. Because the skill points thing, the RPG skill points thing, I don't really like it. I don't think it fits well enough for the sim um you know I don't know, just for the end result of the way players are playing. It's too erratic, I think. It doesn't truly quantify what they've done throughout the season, you know.
Is losing morale points, which is affecting his current ratings. We'll upgrade field generally. See his morale is -1. So even though we got that upgrade, medium accuracy -1, short accuracy -1, awareness -1. It seems small for right now, but maybe that's something that compounds over the year and gets way worse if he continues to play poorly. Gonna be interesting to see if the mock drafts actually stay basically 100% accurate. Obviously, mock draft 1 will change a lot from whatever mock draft 5 happens to be. It's only week 6 right now. We know that. But we'll see if that's basically a formula. You also have the option to still improve your development traits, and you can change it now between single game goals.
What is this? Well, Elliott sees his moment this week. So your will linebacker has a chance to upgrade his dev trait depending on their performance in the next game. See, I mean, I guess that's not too far off from what you could expect, but I don't know if this is based on a just a random trigger like, hey, we're just gonna see like if you perform well today, you're gonna have an increase to your dev trait, or was it like a stack of games, like maybe starting from preseason, where he was just out there proving it, and he's earned the spotlight, I guess, or the eyes of his coaches, to where it's like, okay, we see you have much more potential than we were initially expecting from you. So, if you could prove it again during this next one game or a 3-game stretch, then you'll get a development trait upgrade. I feel like, that would be a little more sensible if it was the latter, but I don't know. It just feels so random. You know what I mean? So, and that's what I mean. I feel, and then I feel as though, I don't know, to some degree, I would like, for guys who have a low skill, I mean a low dev trait, I feel as though maybe the development trait upgrade should be end of season type of upgrades. You know what I'm saying? Something that is based on the total season performance, and maybe you get that toward the end of the season or something like that, where you've been pretty consistent, or at least a certain, to qualify for a development trait upgrade, you have to have a certain stretch of games where you stood out, where you made a difference, you know what I'm saying? And you played above your current development trait level, to where it would deem it necessary for an upgrade. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts. What do y'all think? Tell me what you guys think about that.
So, to earn a development trait upgrade, your linebacker, Elliott, will need to record 8+ tackles, okay? So you can also do a single game bonus goal where that improves. To earn a development trait upgrade and bonus XP, your linebacker needs to record 10 plus tackles. You can also stretch it out over multiple games, which is kind of how it feels like a breakout functions in real life. So
Right.
to
Let me just say one thing too. I'm gonna take back a little bit of what I just said about the whole XP thing not working so well. I think if you could tune how much XP certain positions get, then I think it could work. You know what I'm saying? Because the problem for me is that certain, like, let's say your quarterback touches the ball every game. So he's going to progress literally every game no matter what. But your linemen don't really have the same opportunities, I guess, to show, at least based on the way it's set up, for Madden 26 and prior, they don't really get the same opportunities to showcase their I guess their talent. I don't know. So besides pancakes and preventing sacks, there has to be more that a lineman can do, maybe executing the block or playing their gap very well or whatever. There has to be more that they can do to earn uh XP, and that way, because I would personally, I like everything to be hard anyway. So I would tune it downward to be where players who are like shining are the ones who are getting a lot of XP. And then after like playing a few seasons, you kind of get a feel for how much XP is too much and how much is too little. Then you tune it, and then you know, create a new season. I mean, a new franchise, knowing all that information and kind of, playing accordingly. Again, this is my thinking, but I'm just saying, I think XP could work. It's just that it just requires all of that. You know what I'm saying? It takes a bit of tuning, to get the earning potential for every position tweaked just right. You know.
earn a development trait upgrade, your linebacker needs to record 24 plus total tackles over the next 3 games. So instead of 8-1, maybe you have 10-2, and unfortunately only 5 in the third one. Guess what? That's still enough to get the upgrade, and obviously, of course, the same thing for a 3-game bonus goal. So you can get a ton of bonus XP and a development trait upgrade if you're able to sustain a really high level of play over a short stretch. But you've got to decide, does the risk potentially match the reward, and choose accordingly. Not really a great start for our Bears here, 1-6. So something they've talked about a lot is the simulation engine changing to not be so playbook dependent. Devontae Adams expected to be traded now. Okay, that's interesting. But so they said this last year. It wasn't true. Playbooks were still insanely dependent to be successful. Now they've acknowledged that and said that, they've heard us talking about how playbooks have had way too much influence on sim outcomes, and certain schemes become super powerful. So they've said that they see that teams start performing in ways that do not match their actual personnel or ratings, and that Super Sim has now been fully retuned to reduce volatility and put more weight back on ratings and roster quality. So the best rosters should produce the best results. Your roster decisions should be the biggest factor in how your team performs, not your playbook selection. So of course these ratings will change, but this Bears team's only a 78 overall. So I guess it could stand to reason that this team could be only 1-6. Now, Seattle's only an 81. Remember, these ratings are going to change quite a bit. They're only 3-4. If we were to look around the rest of the league here, Green Bay 6-1, Cleveland is 6-1, the Niners are 6-1, and the Cardinals are 5-2. The Cowboys are 0-7. Well, they've definitely retuned the playbooks, because the Cowboys would be good every single year. Rams only 2-5, but with these unfinished rosters, it's tough to come to any type of conclusion about.
Exactly, because that's the thing. We even just simulating a season, like, season to season or franchise to franchise. I'm someone who restarts very often, after I make tweaks and find out how I want my settings and my computer personnel to play and so on and so forth. All my user adjustments and CPU adjustments. Um, yeah, like I restart pretty frequently. So I've seen to where my Tennessee Titans could get off to a fast start and go 4-1 or whatever, 3-2 or whatever, and the next season is, or not the next season, but the next time I restart it all and start off from the beginning again, week one, we can go 0-5, 0-3, and I'm not making any different roster changes. I'm just it could be even my play calling maybe, because obviously in the prior years, it's you know the plays are going to be chosen at random based on the I think it's based on like the way your plays are rated. And that's actually one thing I actually really started spending a lot of time on in Madden 26, was getting my playbook and choosing what plays I wanted the computer to call for me by highly rating certain plays, so I have more variety. That's something I realized has a big impact on play calling. Um, but doesn't matter anymore. Madden 27 on the way, so I'm leaving that alone. But long story short, I think season to season, you could start off hot. The next season, you could start off real slow. The next season, you could start off hot in the first half and very slow in the second half, or reverse. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't necessarily always mean it's the playbook or the players even. It's just like, no, I would say it is the players. It's the way the simulation is concluding the matchup. So it can vary. So I wouldn't look at that 0-7 start for the Cowboys and so, oh, this needs to be retuned or redone or whatever. Like, no, it's probably perfectly fine. It's just there's no guarantee, of a result just because you have a hot roster. You know what I'm saying?
Whether
And it
those
shouldn't be.
actual records are good or bad. So it's tough to say. However, this is a really firm example that you can now extend players prior to them actually having an expiring contract now. So engage in negotiations with Jones, center, 67. I would highly suspect that that is rookie center Logan Jones. So you now could negotiate a contract extension here. And in the top right, you can see deal breakers and cap space. So each of these things has a critical value. And you can see, okay, his focus is love of the game. His mindset, well, he's going to be reaching out about a contract extension soon. That's now. Mm-hmm. You can see his actual ratings, his age, his experience, all these different things. But that's how these negotiations, ratings, his age.
I love that you get an overview of everything that's relevant to your negotiations. Bro, I hated having to flip back and, okay, let me check his rating. What's his speed? What's his pass blocking? Okay, what was his stats for the year? Like, what are the relevant stats that how has he performed, so on and so forth. All this is at the tip of your hands right now. Sacks allowed, pancakes,
all these different things.
This is great.
But that's how his actual ratings, his age, his experience, all these different things.
Okay, and his current contract, you can see what he's got, what he's making. This is so awesome, bro. I cannot wait.
But that's how these negotiations will function. And we're seeing a lot of linebacker dev trade upgrades potentially. Noah Sewell now. I saw, Ruben Hippolyte earlier was an interesting one. I will also mention that you have real coordinators now, so you can check out your staff. And if they have the rights to them in the case of Dennis Allen, they're in the game. But if you don't want to go through all those negotiations, Dylan Thienemann's contract is not in as well, you can just delegate and have the GM negotiate. So last time I checked, Dylan Thienemann was out of patience. You simulate a week, and his patience returns so you can renegotiate. But again, I want to show you that you can just still delegate that, and your GM will handle that conversation. Now, of course, he will be out of patience right now because they just negotiated, or he could even be signed. You can also see what the weather is going to be before you start the game, which feels like a change. Light rain But, of course, that can change over the course of the game.
See, they said too that, well, maybe it's not going to be in this screen, but they said that you're going to see a kind of a generated um display of what the weather's going to be for that area. So like if you're playing in Miami, and it's a daytime game, you might see a a sunny forecast up there, and it'll show you like what the weather's going to look like in that region. Or you might see rain droplets falling in the sky if it's raining over there, or a blizzard, a whole bunch of snow falling, whatever. Like it's going to kind of give you a preview of what you can expect the game to look like, right in the background of your players, right before you click the play now portion of where you start the game up. That's gonna be nice. It's a nice little addition.
With dynamic weather now, it may start as light rain.
Yeah, that's gonna be
and
cool
then
too.
Change as you're into it. Maybe it's heavy rain. Maybe.
So in the background, this is what I was talking about. You'll see exactly what your game, weather is gonna look like. But the dynamic weather he's mentioning is a very nice touch. It's gonna make the game feel alive,
It's sunny. So because we're in coach mode, we just don't actually do anything. You can see the numbers there for Caleb Williams, but we can choose our play, and then we can watch it unfold from the coach.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get my hands on coach mode, bro. Because for the longest, now it's not even, obviously it's no longer about like the playbooks being overpowered or whatever, because now you're calling your plays. And I'm telling you, if they have this set up for you to run a league with 32 other, like a 32 user league where you can be coach mode oriented, oh my gosh, bro. Like Madden might be the only thing I play all year. Well, that's a lie, because GTA come out, I'm definitely gonna get on that. But I'm gonna be heavily invested in Madden if that's what they do moving forward, so let me calm down, bro. I just can't wait. I cannot wait, bro, because now I can control exactly who's getting the rock, how many touches they getting, how many passing. Because I hated seeing these stats where my quarterback is throwing the ball 60 times a game. You know what I'm saying? And obviously the length of the clock, like the length of the game, length of the game, and then the playbook you're using and all that plays a role into that. And obviously also if you're behind in the game, you're gonna have to be more aggressive and throw the ball. So I get all of that, but there were certain times in the game where you want to throw the ball, but the computer decides to run it. You get control over that again, and I'm just so thankful that EA put head coach, like they even considered us managerial types, because I honestly was not expecting that to be a priority for them, and I'm just so excited.
Coach position on the sideline, like we're looking with Ben Johnson, right? So there's also now a decibel meter in the top right, similarly to the way that it is in college football. As Caleb has all day to throw, flushed out to his right, will throw short of the intended target. That's classic DB there, celebrating like he did anything.
Right.
Despite the throw just being off.
I love that he included some footage
with coach mode,
of this, bro.
You can pick the play. You can see how the play art will change from a different perspective.
Nice.
And you can actually hot route if you so choose. Caleb Williams actually changes the play at the line. This is now going to be a run on 2nd and 10 to DeAndre Swift. Or will it be? Maybe that's fake. As Caleb will throw and hit Roma Dunze on the sideline for a gain of 9.
This show looks
So we can pick
nice.
again our 3rd and 1 play.
This show looks so
And
nice.
watch and see how Caleb Williams and the Bears can keep this drive alive. Obviously, we'll need DeAndre Swift to work something here, and he's
Stonewall.
not going to. Jordan Brooks shoots through the gap and gets the TFL. And we have a decision to make here on 4th and 2. We're going to keep the
Go
offense
for
out
it,
there.
why not?
Of course, you can change these things if you go in with enough time. You can hot route. Luther Burden couldn't hear us, but if he could. But now it's unavailable because the play clock's too low. So can't get any more hot routes in. Just need Caleb Williams to make a play here, and he's not going to be able to. DeAndre Swift can't secure the catch because future All-Pro and Hall of Famer Michael Taff records the pass breakup. Good defense there by the rookie. Well, you also see the awards popping up on the screen.
Let me just say one other thing, yo. I'm so looking forward to this head coach mode because, again, with those situations, let's say you're going for a 4th and 2. When you draft a receiver or you draft a running back or a tight end or whatever, and you want to put them in those, like you want to utilize that player in a specific situation, like a 4th and 2, you can call up a play. You can dial up a play for that player, have it executed. And obviously it doesn't mean like the player is going to get the ball because obviously the defense's coverage is going to dictate where the ball is going to go and how the play unravels. But you can dial up a play that's intended for a specific guy to get the rock. If I want my star receiver to get the rock and I want him to get at least 10 receptions or at least 10 targets in a game, boom, like call up the plays that's going to make that a possibility. And, then you just see how your quarterback executes or your team executes. So, man, it's just so much power in your hands. Like just being able to control the field is going to be that's a game changer. I cannot wait for that.
Now, so of course you can still see that stuff, but now it pops up.
Patty
You can
Mahomes,
see it like
league
breaking
MVP.
news. Like it still shows up in league history if you want to see it that way, but it will also pop up. We had a little Ravens-Niners Super Bowl rematch.
Hold on. These numbers looking solid, man. So he simulated a season. Saquon Barkley with 1951, so 1,951 yards, so not quite 2,000, but that's pretty damn close. And it looks like they went the 49ers, they went into the postseason, so this is playoffs included in these numbers. These are some good numbers, like very sim-based numbers. These are great. That's great. Jamar Chase had 1,600 yards, 11 touchdowns, 99 receptions. Yeah, man, that's what's up.
And the same result happened.
That matters a lot.
Actually, to restart, funny enough, because I was fired. We had to recreate the league and turn coach firing off. But we are back to...
bro, how many of y'all have been burnt by starting a league and forgetting to turn coach firing off? So all that progress you did, you got fired and you lost it all. Like that happened to me once this year, and I was like, okay, mental note, I won't forget that again. Let me know in the comments, y'all, how many of y'all has that ever happened to? And yo, another thing, how many of y'all are excited for head coach mode? Do you not care about that, or is another feature more important to you? Like, what are you most looking forward to in Madden 27 this year?
Needing to re-sign players. So, Jalen Johnson prepared to negotiate a new deal. He's an 89 overall. Now, of course, you can make the decision to hold off, review it later, let the GM handle it, which could be a slippery slope,
Right.
or negotiate the contract yourself. And the current details: 1 year, $11.4 million in total salary, $6.4 million in total bonus, for the average yearly salary being close to $18 million. You can see his interest starts at 50%. His patience is only 30%. So you have to be a little bit careful here because that's going to jump down, and the patience will, as soon as you decide on anything here. So he says, sitting down, I'll keep it simple. The contract value isn't where it needs to be yet. Well, we can increase the bonus by 10%, hopefully get a big boost there. So that jumps up over $7 million, and the interest goes to 61%. He still wants more overall money. So we could reduce the salary by 5% and add a guaranteed year. That feels like not the wisest thing to do. We could decrease the bonus 5% and add a playoff incentive. So that could be kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and try that. So it's a $500K boost with a playoff appearance, and that interest jumps up to 69%. Nice. And says the number's not far off.
Okay, so the contract negotiation thing is not exactly the way I thought it was going to be, but it's it's a decent start or a decent approach, I guess. I thought it was going to be more like, okay, here's the negotiations. This is how your player's feeling, and you have like a bevy of options, not just four at a time. You know what I'm saying? So because maybe I want to start off with giving him, maybe I want a 2% bonus increase and a and maybe add a guaranteed year and some incentives or something like that. I don't know. I'm definitely, my philosophy is heavily incentive based. So I would almost have an incentive in everybody's contract. You know what I'm saying? Just about. Um because I want you to earn more money based on your performance. If you're performing well, you deserve to be paid better. So and then everything else, that means your base salary though is going to be a little less than you deserve, or less than normal, but your incentives can have you being paid more than normal when it's all said and done. So
I'd like to tighten it up a bit. Let's try adding a guaranteed year. So that should go up a little bit. Interest moves up to 75%. But now, potential questions surrounding the deal between the Bears and Jalen Johnson have come up. So here's what we want to do.
Oh, let's see what they say. Publicly reaffirm commitment, increase salary, push back on media narrative, shift focus to guarantee money, stay silent, and continue negotiating.
Ben Johnson saying, we want you here long term. Don't let outside noise change that. We're building something with you in it. He says, I've seen what's being said, doesn't feel great if that's how this looks from the outside. It doesn't really matter. So if he's concerned about how things look on the outside, you can see his focus is financial. You see his persona DNA is showing someone that's confident, direct, aggressive, calculated, outspoken, uncompromising, but also wary. Not to be confused with weary, which is tired. We're going to say, let's publicly reaffirm your commitment. We want you here. His patience goes to 5%. His interest is up to 82%. So here's what we want to do. We will increase the base salary by 15%. He wants more money. We want him here. That takes the yearly salary to $20 million, or the yearly total to $20 million. The salary is 13.1%. And he just wants to tighten up that number a little bit. His interest is already 92%. Let's add a guaranteed year. He runs out of patience, of course. We're going to review that a bit later. But I think we're moving towards an extension. That's what it feels like. So we can jump back into the roster and we can talk to him again. So in overview, there's going to be speak with player in the bottom left. So it says he's already signed. He may have decided on that. We might have more information on that next week. But now, this is free agency frenzy. They've wanted to change this into a live event, so it's no longer jump in, do whatever you want. Free agencies now. We have 12 hours remaining, and we have the ability to negotiate with all of these free agents, okay? So there's no longer a jump out, back out, revisit it. This is franchise mode. This is the live event. So you've got to make some tight decisions here pretty quickly. So going into the lineup, we can see where we might have some needs. And again, these ratings, of course, are not final. But defensively, I think about the Bears. I think interior defensive line, really defensive line in general, is a major weak point here, which means that I'm probably going to be heavily targeting Vita Vea. He's one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league, only looking for a one-year contract. Now, when you jump in here, you're immediately negotiating this extension. So his patience starts at 30%. His interest is only 29% with the current contract details. So what we can do is start off with a bang. Increase the base salary by 10%. That should give us a big boost to his interest, which goes up to 38%. He says, I want to go back to the upfront money for a minute. That's a part that still matters to me and that I'd like to improve. So we counter, say, we could say we'd rather give you more security in the form of an additional year and slightly reduce the bonus to help our cap, or we could meet with his actual demands. So he wants more.
Shit, I think I go Hmm. I if I really wanted Vita Vea, I'll go ahead and I hear him and do what he asking. I'd increase the bonus, but I would add a guaranteed year just to I guess give us more time to like to have that spread out over another year. Um, while still showing him some respect, like this says.
or upfront money.
You gotta
So
do
we could increase
increased
the bonus by
bonus.
10% while adding the guaranteed year. Maybe we space that out a little bit more. So the interest goes to 48%. He says, let's talk through the years a bit more. I want to make sure both aligned on how long this deal lasts. So he said he was initially looking for 1 year, which makes this kind of interesting. We're going to
That's the thing. Like, okay, I wonder if it tells you whether he wants more years or not. Just because, you know what I'm saying? He does. It's not. He doesn't flat out say I want to do. I want to add another year. He just says let's make sure that the years align a bit more or whatever.
add 2 years, see if
Let's see
he
what this does when he does
appreciates the
this.
commitment. And
Hold
it
on.
looks like
Did that
we're
go
going to
down?
add 2 years, see if he
48.
appreciates the
Okay.
commitment.
He
And it
likes
looks
that.
like he does. So his patience drops to 9%. You can't just negotiate forever. But the interest jumps up to 64%.
Okay.
He also wants to play for a contender. So we could pitch the long-term vision. The other alternative is we could increase the salary and the bonus by 10%. Now, of course, it says
throwing money at
compensate
it.
for lack of contention with money. This can spike interest, but sets a costly precedent. We don't want to set that precedent. We want to be, a winning franchise, but we don't want to just pay everybody like, the Jags have done for years and hasn't really amounted to much. We're going to pitch the long-term vision. We're going to be a contender. It might not be tomorrow, but it's going to be soon. He wants to go back to the team situation for a minute. I need to spend a little more time on that before we move ahead. Now, I'm going to pitch the long-term vision again. So he's run out of patience for the time being. We can jump back to that later. And
he
you can
might
see
get
with his
signed by
persona
another
DNA,
team.
a lot of these tags are temporary just for these negotiations. So he's aggressive, pushes hard for the best deal and quick results, needs to win negotiations at all costs, chooses realistic and practical options, brings urgency and pressure to negotiations, gets straight to the point in negotiations, and takes responsibility and expects clear roles and trust. These are all things that are going to be used for negotiation. I'd love to bring in Vita Vea. A 3-year deal is a lot for a 32-year-old, but also he's at a position that ages more gracefully than others. We want to be a competitor. We know that. We are already trying to sign Jalen Johnson to an extension and improve this defense. We could also potentially use an upgraded linebacker, but overall not looking to spend a tremendous amount. You can see the 2026 team cap at the bottom. Salaries are $265 million, just over $3 million in dead cap. Obviously, you need to create room for the rookies that are coming up, but we have $60 million cap space, so we can potentially get aggressive and bring somebody.
See, that cap space is gonna get eaten up so quickly. You just willy-nilly paying everybody, and before you know it, you might end up in cap space hell. You know what I'm saying? Stuck with not enough money, or maybe even trying to trade players to free up some cap space. So, hey, you got to be real careful and have a long-term vision going into this.
Else in at linebacker if we want to do that. It's always really expensive to pay these edge rushers, so I'm not necessarily super interested in doing so. It's just an expensive position that if you've watched the NFL in real life, it's better to draft those guys if you can. You'll save more money long term. So I would say Vita Vea is just the big guy at the top of our list. You can also change the view here if you're more comfortable with the old school table. If you want to do that, I think the list is kind of a fun way to look
I like
at
this
it.
way too.
As the Giants are looking to trade Andrew Thomas, maybe that's something that we might want to consider. You look at this team, the offensive line looks quite good, but left tackle is one of those positions that could actually be upgraded. Got Braxton Jones and Ozzie Trapilo, but
I'm really curious how much better the trenches are in this Madden. I've seen gameplay and it looked, like the gameplay they showed on that opening drive. It looks, and I'm not talking about this open, I'm talking about the EA opening drive little event they held where they threw everything at us all at once. Um, but yeah, like the gameplay, it looked pretty solid, and the linemen looked like they're playing based off of like their rating. So it's a 65 overall is gonna play like a 65 overall, and 85 overall plus player is gonna play, you know, with a little more predictability. Like you could trust that he's gonna have his man, or he's gonna win his battle against his opponent more often than not. So um yeah, I'm just looking forward to this joint, bro. Oh my gosh.
Could potentially go out and make a big swing for Andrew Thomas, maybe move Jones Trapilo to guard. Hate to get sidetracked here, but this is how quickly the NFL can move. We have the second overall pick because of how terribly we performed, but I wonder what it would cost for Andrew Thomas. So we would need to offer probably quite a lot. I'd love the idea of a second round pick that's actually not too far apart. It's a lot of money. It's a player they're looking to trade. We might be able to make something happen. That could be a big time splash play, but we'll jump back into free agency and we will advance to the next hour of free agency frenzy. So we've actually missed the boat on Vita Vea. He has signed with a division rival. He's going to be a Lion. So he was looking, to be aggressive, push this hard.
See, so if you fail in your negotiations on that first go around, especially on those highly sought after players, they are going to sign somewhere else where they can get a better deal. So yeah, wow. It just, man, it makes it to where the penny pinchers are gonna suffer if you don't pay up, and at the same time, for those who pay up, you better be certain that the numbers you paid out is like you got a plan for that, because that joint could backfire too. Just paying everybody, it's just the small details. I love it. I love it.
For the best deal and quick results, we didn't meet the needs, and Vita Vea has decided to sign quickly and become a Lion. Maybe instead of trading for Andrew Thomas, we could opt to sign Dion Dawkins. That's an option. He has the team first fit, where he chooses team fit over personal gain. And what's he looking for? Let's jump in here. So, could be a good fit for us. 1 year, $17.5 million yearly. You can see the deal breakers and cap space there in the top right. High total contract value and bonus, moderate playoff contender, and contract length. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are looking for money, right? So we're going to increase the bonus by 15%. I feel like you've kind of seen that you need to be aggressive. His patience actually started a lot higher because he thinks it's a better fit than what Vita Vea did. We still are going to need interior defensive line, and I'd love to bring in Dion Dawkins. It's a huge upgrade to our O-line.
I think that's cool that the interest now kind of feels like it matters more. So for players that have higher interest in your team, you're not going to have to negotiate as long or overpay as much because they're already interested. Which, I mean, that dynamic was there last year, but it just feels more alive now because you don't have all day to negotiate, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't have but so many tries. And there's competition. Someone else is likely to take it, to get your guy if you don't. So that's pretty cool.
I would say he wants more money. We'll increase the bonus and salary by 5%. If you want these players, you're going to need to pay. Now, with his patience starting out a lot higher, his interest is being built up fairly quickly. Let's add a guaranteed year, and that should take the interest closer to 80%, I would say. And his patience is still in a good spot. So let's decrease the bonus by 5%. But also at a playoff incentive, the interest goes up to 87% now. And because he's still good, even better than Andrew Thomas in the game right now, I'm comfortable increasing the years from 1 to 2 or maybe even 3 overall. We're going to add a year onto this, making it a 2-year contract overall. That's 97% interest. And we're also going to pitch the long-term vision. This can resonate with patient players, but risks immediate skepticism if they want to win now. So we're going to pitch the long-term vision. That should take the interest up to 100%, and Dion Dawkins is good with this. So that's what you're aiming for. You want 100% 79% is going to be good for some players who wait to make decisions, but in the case of guys like Vita Vea, they want to make those decisions now. So we have signed Dion Dawkins. He is a Chicago Bear, and he kind of feels like a Bear. And we could look to bring in another vet. Leonard Williams is sitting out here, quite a good player. He's looking for a lot of money. Doesn't really have a tremendous amount of patience. Let's try to make this like a 1-year win now type of deal. We'll just load a lot into the bonus. Oh man, I don't know. It might be a little bit too much. So here's what we're going to do. I mean, you look at it, total salary is over 21 mil right now. The bonus is closing in on 20 mil. That average yearly, of course, it's a 1-year deal, is close to 40 million. We're going to stay silent and continue the negotiation. The interest can still bump up a little bit, but the patience, of course, is going down. We're going to continue to hold firm. I don't really want to go beyond this. So if we don't get Leonard Williams, we don't get Leonard Williams. Yeah. So that's just what it is. We're going to advance to the next hour of free agency frenzy, and we're going to see if he's still out there. All right, Leonard Williams has yet to make a decision. So let's go ahead and speak with him again. His patience is back to 50%. We're going to hold firm for right now, see if that interest boosts up at all. It does not. So we could just add a guaranteed year. That should take the interest up a little bit. Potential questions surrounding deal between Bears and Leonard Williams. We've got to do something here. I mean, we're offering a ton of money. Let's publicly reaffirm commitment. That's going to take the patience down significantly. Or maybe not significantly, just a little bit. Interest up to 84%. I can add a guaranteed year. That would make this 2 overall. But it's a void year, so we can just avoid that. Interest is 94%. Patience is 15%. I think we hold firm here. It's not going to take out the entire patience, surely. Okay, that's exactly what it did. Let's add another guaranteed year. Can still negotiate with Leonard Williams. I think we're very close to a deal here. Patience back to 50%. Let's hold firm for a second and see what that gives us. So it's not going to boost our interest very much at this point. We may just be able to stay where we are and get him. Although, I don't really want to increase the base salary by 20%. I don't want to increase the bonus by 15%. We'll add the guaranteed year, and he's now ready to sign this deal. So it's a pretty big contract for Leonard Williams, but I think it's a contract that absolutely helps us right now. And if we go into the back end here and look at the way this is structured, like the total contract is insane, right? Like the cap hit is close to 40 million, but we were at least able to get it done. It's only 40 million for this year, but our cap space now jumps to negative 5.5 million. Ooh. We can get out of this hole. It's not going to be too challenging. We can just restructure the deal with Montez Sweat, free up 8.8 million cap space this season, and add the 8.8 million to the final year of his contract the next year. So that gives us a little bit more flexibility if we want to do something. But I
see, that's something else. I've never had to restructure a contract yet because I've never put myself in a bad spot or a tight spot thus far. So all of the gymnastics you can do with the cap and everything now it matters, because you can incentivize players. You can it just makes so much more sense now. It just feels so much more fun now. I don't think I'll still have to do it this year, but at least now if I do, like, I don't know, it'll be worthwhile, I suppose. Doing all this, jumping through these hoops and playing like this is just it's fun to watch. So I can only imagine how much more fun it's gonna be when I'm in the driver's seat of it all. But Bengal doing this thing right now.
I think we're probably going to be done for free agency frenzy, and we can now no longer negotiate with free agents. We're up to the next part. Combine results are here, and check out what these prospects were able to do. A lot of receivers in this class is kind of what we're probably looking to go out and draft, because no more DJ Moore. Receivers kind of a need. Roma Dunze maybe not developing the way we would like him to be. There wasn't an opportunity to show it, but with contracts going into the offseason, they now have every type of tag in the game that you can have. Like real life, you have the franchise tag, transition tag, exclusive franchise tag, non-exclusive franchise tag. Restricted free agencies in Madden now, so you have every tier of the RFA tenders with appropriate draft pick compensation. So first round, second round, original round, and right of first refusal tenders are available. So this is what happens in real life. It now is in Madden as well. We know we were very close to extending Jalen Johnson. We will increase the base salary by 5%. That's not a major improvement, but it does take his interest up to 100%, and we are able to sign Jalen Johnson to an extension, 1 year, average of about or 21 million for that year. So of course you go on a team salary.
I gotta say though, you don't really have as much control as I would like. At least based on what I'm seeing from him, you don't have the kind of control that I would like you to have when you're, pretty much negotiating your contracts with these players. I thought you were gonna be able to decide for yourself, like, hey, you know, I want to start off with like just start off with the number you have in mind and just see where it goes. Because all this back and forth negotiation, sometimes it's not even necessary if you start off in the right spot. But I guess in real life, even if you start off with the right number, they're gonna try to see if they can get more out of you. So it's always, I guess, gonna be a negotiation. But then again, I guess the players' temperament should come into play at that point, or their agent, whatever. That would be a fun dynamic to see, like if they were to add agents into the game or some sort of representation for players during these contract negotiations. That'd be kind of interesting.
Now Jalen Johnson gets another year. We've extended him through this 2027 season. Joe Tooney and Grady Jarrett retiring, kind of interesting. We picked up Andrew Van Ginkel as well as an option off the edge. And going into the draft, still, of course, have a number of needs. Guard has kind of become one. And again, these ratings are not final. It's going to look a little bit better than this, of course. But I think we need receiver. Running back is certainly not out of the question. Maybe edge, of course, even though we just brought in Andrew Van Ginkel. Okay, NFL draft is here.
Welcome to the NFL draft.
Thank you, Rich. We've got some ideas, of course. I think trading down is something that could make sense as well. That could be an option. Saints on the clock at number 1. If you look at our draft board, didn't do a ton of work on the top players in the draft, but scouted Rashawn Milstead. Darius Newkirk was a focus player, as was Tevin Rhodes, who's not quite on the same level. Darius Newkirk is a round 1 talent, looks to be a very, very good linebacker. Ran 4.42 at the combine, 4.38 at his pro day. Elite jumping acceleration and speed. A lot of A's all over the place. Really looks to be one of the better linebackers I've seen. Of course, out of Georgia. It's like linebacker you lately. No disrespect to Penn State. 6'3", 245. Like, is number 2 overall a little bit early for a player like that? Like, talent-wise, maybe not. All right. Commissioner Goodell out to announce the first pick. Who's it going to be? It's this guy. Joe Rogan, number 1 pick in the draft. And we are getting plenty of offers for the number 2 overall pick. I feel like the offers are a lot better than they used to be. Like, the Browns are giving us 3 first-round picks to move up from 13 to 2.
But see, the problem is this is dictated by what you have your trade settings set to. Because I always play on the very hardest version, and I think he must have it on normal or whatever. I always set it to harder. I make everything in franchise harder. So player motivations, I make that the hardest level. Trades, I make that the hardest level. And anything else that you can adjust. Just because I want a challenge, I don't want teams giving me all their best picks. And I don't even really feel like that value is fair. Because
they're giving us.
He's the 2nd overall pick, and I get that. That is quite a pick to have. But who is available there? I guess I need more information. Because who is Cleveland trying to go get? A quarterback? They got a first. They're giving up 3 years of first-round picks. That's a lot. So, and I feel like that's on normal settings. On hard mode, it might be this year's first round pick, and maybe a 2nd round pick for next year, or maybe a first round this year, and a second, maybe 2 second rounds, two second round picks. So you get the 1st and 2nd round pick for this year, and then a second round next year. Or it might be like a first pick, I mean, the first overall pick this year, first overall pick next year, and then that's it. But again, it just depends on what caliber of player is available and who are they trying to get. That would make the determination for me of whether that makes sense or not for them to go do that.
3 first-round picks to move up from 13 to 2. And there are a lot of pretty good offers in there. Like a lot of teams offering 3 firsts. The Niners, who are picking at the back end of the first round, would give us 3 seconds on top of that. So the value, the appropriate value for picks at the top of the draft actually does seem to be better. But I actually quite like this deal from the Rams, who are always trading away their first-round picks. They're going to give us a 2027 first, number 20, a first next year, a first the year after that, and then 2 second-round picks, one this year, one next year, and then a third next year. I'm in. If we want to go up and move for that linebacker, we can. You see the picks, of course, coming through at the bottom of the screen as well. Saints take left tackle Dylan Rogan from Florida State. Jets ready to make their selection as well. You can also see the final mock draft this year while in the draft. Just go to scouting, pull up mock drafts, and you.
Because, bro, oh my gosh, there were times I was trying to look at it and I had to take screenshots because I realized that it's not available to you during the draft. I don't know why that was the case, but it just was. So, yeah, that's cool.
You can see what the final one was. Now, it's not necessarily accurate,
and that's fine,
as it was in previous years, but you can see what they think is going to happen, at least maybe get an idea, maybe get a range of where these players could go.
Right.
And that trade's going to be accepted. Decided to move up with the Jets. They have the 11th overall pick. It's not necessarily cheap to move up, but it doesn't seem entirely unrealistic. We are trading number 20. We are trading a second-round pick next year. Of course, we already have another, and a third-round pick in 2029, and we're getting back 11. Maybe we could have waited a little bit more, but I think Darius Newkirk looks really, really good. Certainly a player that we can build around. B blocks at A pursuit tackle, zone coverage, all at A. Obviously an elite athlete. I think he's going to be a very, very good player. Kind of like, I don't know, I'll pick a random Georgia linebacker that played for the Bears. Let me think. How about Roquan Smith? That could be a pretty good player to bring in. Kind of profiled like a Mike or Will out of the draft. And here he is, ranked number 15 in true value. We got him at 11.
Solid.
Shows good speed for a linebacker, I'm sure. He ran 4.38 at his pro day. Able to quickly diagnose plays, wrap up, and drag down tackler. Does have hidden dev at 91 speed and acceleration, 87 agility, 86 jumping. Of course, we'll get a full picture following the draft about how good he actually is. And the Rams, who just got Osa Odighizuwa, are trading him to the Vikings. Very active. But following the draft, there is now undrafted rookie free agency. A new pool of players pops up, all with different overalls, different dev traits. Wow. And now you can bid for these players the way real NFL teams do in real time. Some of them have superstar development as well. Like, these are good, valuable players. Players seriously that you may wish you could have drafted like the second round or the first round even. And here they are available essentially for free. Overalls. Now, we need to create a little bit of cap space if we want them. But we've created some cap space. Now we can go ahead and negotiate with some of these players. Antoine Melvin, I think, would be a great one. Like, these players are legitimately good. A lot of them have normal development, of course. They went undrafted, I suppose.
I feel like the players' portraits, they do look a bit younger. They don't look as old as before. Like, let's look at this again. Like, every last one of them looks pretty solid. Like, he looks good. That's believable. He looks like a college player. This is the same old one that's always been there. And this one was always like, looked pretty fine to me. This guy looks a little older, especially with the balding like kind of cut they got on him. This one just looked like a older guy, but he could pass for a 24-year-old, I guess, somewhat. I mean, I don't know. The cheeks are a little, older. This kid, if he had a different hairstyle, he would look younger. Yeah, this guy looks old. Okay, maybe not.
Good. A lot of them have normal development, of course. They went undrafted, I suppose, for a reason.
I do see some,
but that doesn't mean that the ability is bad, right? You can see the speed. You can see the good, like, core attributes that look like a future starter. And his current morale is making him play worse. He's sad he went undrafted, blah, blah, blah. But the future could be bright. Like, there's a lot of superstar development in here. And that's kind of one of the fun parts about this is you can see it right away who's got that potential. Like, there can be some developed gems for sure in here. It's not going to be everybody at every position, but there are players worth bringing in. And of course, it works just the way it does in free agency. His interest starts quite high, and he's very patient. He wants to be a Bear. You can look at his persona DNA, disciplined, selfless, cerebral, resilient, grounded. That's what I want. A love of the game, undrafted rookie free agent, high character, not looking for the most money. This is a guy we want. And I think the value is absolutely there with a player like this. Like, they don't even want that much money. They just want to be on a team. They don't
See, I think the key to that is probably the amount of X Factor stars and superstars you allow for your league. You know how like you can adjust it. I think for X Factor's 65 was the max or something like that, or maybe it was 100, I don't know. Then I think the next one was like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the point is that you can adjust the amount of each of those caliber of players that you're going to have in your league, in your franchise. And I think the draft is going to populate that based on the amount that's currently in the league, you know?
recognize their value at this point. So you can kind of use that to your advantage. And Antoine Melvin will be a Chicago Bear. His morale is quite bad, so that's going to need to be built up. But there's plenty of time to do that. And draft recap is here. Go ahead and check out the top players in the class as well as our own. We did quite well. I didn't want to show the whole draft because this video is not a rebuild. It's just more about showing off some of the new features. Jason Woods has hidden development. Intense brings urgency and pressure to negotiations. See some of his interesting traits in there, but could end up being a future starter. Top player of the class was the #1 pick, Dylan Rogan.
Nice.
He is an 81 overall. And there were actually a lot of really good players in this class. A lot of 78s, a lot of 77s and 76s. A lot of decent running backs down the board. Although I'm glad that we got Jason Woods. And we talked about it briefly, but apparently there's been a real, actual big focus to the CPU trade logic, where trades have been expanded under the hood to create a more authentic environment in franchise. So teams are now more active around key points in the season, taking into account their current standings and how aggressive they'll look to improve or begin the rebuilding process. When they do execute a trade, a greater emphasis on immediate impact as well as the money they'll have to invest in their newly acquired asset will be a critical consideration. So I like hearing that. These intelligent decisions do not stop at the trade deadline. During the offseason, CPU teams will now trade exactly as you see on the biggest stage, the NFL draft. So it'll be interesting to see in real time how aggressive some of these teams are. The prospects available will determine whether a team aggressively moves up for that perfect fit or opts to find a future value when the board didn't work out in their favor. So there should be CPU trade ups and trade downs and, more tuning to wear and tear and things like that. Some of the more annoying things that you're like, man, this is actually a pretty good idea, but the execution is incredibly flawed. Hopefully making big steps to make that actually one big thing that works well. So that's just a taste of some of the things coming to Madden 27 franchise mode.
Right.
You guys are going to see more of that when you actually get your hands on the game yourselves. So stay tuned for that. And you can see Antoine Melvin is a 76 overall, but based in the current scheme, playing to a 69 overall. And that is something that's subject to change when they are upgraded and developed. So it will matter which scheme you're in, but that'll do it for this video. Hopefully you guys are excited for Madden 27 franchise mode and all the videos that are going to be on this channel. So,
all right, man. So, bro, if you are excited for Madden like I am, like especially for franchise mode, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel because I'm gonna have so much content for Madden 27 coming this year. I'm gonna do a rebuild. I'm always gonna do my Tennessee Titans. I might do another one after, I kind of figure out the tweaks I'm gonna make to make it more realistic and such. I might do one that's community suggested. But yeah, sound off in the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all think about the changes to Madden 27 and what features you're most looking forward to in franchise. What do y'all think about the contract negotiation approach that EA gave us this year? It's not quite what I was expecting, at least. I was expecting more, more control over the nuance of your contracts, but it seems like it's going to be more reactionary. So where, you offer something and then based off of what they say or do, you can counter or, have a, response to whatever they say. It's not like I could just come out the gate saying, okay, I'm going to give you a 2-year deal with X amount of dollars and these amount of, incentives in your contract. It doesn't appear that that's possible. So um to know for sure, we'll have to wait till we get our hands on it. But uh yeah, until next video, man, I'll holla at y'all. Peace.